Former President Donald Trump just delivered the mic drop of the week as he just shut down a reporter in Howell, Michigan, who tried to imply that he was a white supremacist. It's kind of hard to hear at first, but don't worry, guys. I'm going to give you guys the breakdown right after this. But first, check this out.
Thank you, everybody, very much. Thank you for coming. Who was here in 2021? Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Honestly, guys, Donald Trump was so brilliant in answering how he did. You see, after Donald Trump's address concluded, a reporter asked Donald Trump for his response to criticisms for holding an event in Howell where, according to Governor Gretchen Whitmer, the KKK was just at. Now, in response, Donald Trump asked, who was here in 2021? When somebody said Joe Biden, he said, Joe Biden. Thank you, everybody. But seriously, it was the delivery that made it such a winning moment for me, guys, here. But here, just check it out again.
Thank you, everybody, very much. Thank you for coming. Who was here in 2021? Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
I mean, for starters, why were they even trying to discriminate against Howell and say it was a city for white supremacists? From what I've heard, Howell is one of the safest cities in America. It was really just a coincidence that a month before Donald Trump's address, around a dozen pallid young men dressed in black held a racist protest in Howell, Michigan. Standing on the overpass of I-96 at Latson Road, the demonstrators chanted, "They love Hitler, they love Trump." There was also an earlier march that day from the lawn of the historic Livingston County Courthouse to the Howell Carnegie Library before participants were asked to leave. But see, this is the part that mainstream media doesn't want you guys to know. The Howell Police Department confirmed that several of the demonstrators came from outside the community, including counties Saginaw and Macomb. I mean, these media reporters, they got to start doing their research before they try to come for Donald Trump like that again. You know what I mean? But honestly, if you think about it, the racist protest was maybe a little bit too perfectly timed to coincide with former President Donald Trump's appearance in Howell, Michigan. Just kind of makes you wonder if it wasn't staged by an opposing party trying to make Donald Trump look like a racist. I mean, stranger things have happened, right? Or maybe they're just trying to steer Trump away from big population centers because, see, Howell, Michigan does have a population of 10,000. Not to mention, it was also very close to Michigan's major population centers. I don't know. What do you guys think? Because I can definitely imagine that residents of Howell, Michigan were just so proud that Donald Trump came to their town. You know what I mean, guys? Like the people who love our former president and love their hometown, they're probably not racists. And again, you know, this may be yet another attempt by Democrats and their allies, mainstream media, to distract the people from real issues like inflation. As former President Donald Trump explained in his recent rally, it was Vice President Kamala Harris that cast the tie-breaking votes that caused inflation.
They quickly blew it all up, destroyed. 350,000 Americans joined the unemployment rolls last month. Did you know that? I keep hearing about their economy. Their economy is terrible. And the inflation is eating everybody alive, and it's been doing that for 3 years. The no inflation or almost no inflation, it kept going during the early part of this administration, this current administration, but it ended very quickly, and then it went to levels, and so quickly, it went so fast, and it was a shame, and it was all blown up and destroyed, and jobs were lost. A lot of jobs were lost. Our country is doing really badly under them, and nobody wants to talk about it. The media doesn't like talking about it because the Democrats, they really protect themselves. It's pretty amazing. Someday the media is going to become real media instead of fake media, and you're going to see a big difference in the country. Real incomes are down $2,000 a year since she took office. Kamala cast the tie-breaking votes that gave us the worst inflation in American history, costing a typical family $28,000. And under Kamala, we have fallen into manufacturing recession with 13,000 manufacturing jobs lost in the United States since just the start of this year. I don't know if you all know that, but that's what's happened. And it'll happen here, and it'll happen in this plant. It'll happen everywhere if she gets in. If Kamala gets in, the United States will rapidly become a deindustrialized third world nation, like so many others have become.
So does Kamala Harris talk about inflation? Or better yet, a more practical way to address it, instead of saying that she's going to stop price gouging, which even the liberal media like the Washington Post called a gimmick. But nope, not a thing from the Harris campaign about it. Instead, they've made an extraordinary claim implying Donald Trump's visit to discuss the crime and safety in Howell, Michigan is motivated by racism. Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer also denounced the former president's speech and suggested the city in the state that she represents is racist. Whitmer called it a bad idea and a matter of looking at the optics. Because apparently, according to Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign, Donald Trump's event at the Livingston County Sheriff's Office in Howell, a city of 10,000 near Michigan's major population centers, is a sign of solidarity with these young men. I mean, you should see what they're trying to throw against former President Donald Trump just to see what sticks. Kamala Harris's Michigan spokeswoman, Alyssa Bradley, said Donald Trump's actions have encouraged them, the protesters, and Michiganders can expect more of the same when he comes to town. A Washington Post picked it up and boosted this narrative, saying that Howell has long been associated with the Ku Klux Klan because of the rallies Michigan-based Grand Dragon Robert Miles held on a nearby farm in the 1970s and 1980s. And Reuters headlined a piece they titled, "Trump to Campaign in Michigan Town with Historic Links to White Extremism." There was even an anonymous user, Carl Stack, that intensively edited Howell's Wikipedia page August 17th to emphasize claims of racism after the announcement of Donald Trump's event. The user, for example, changed the line for many decades. Howell had the reputation of being associated with the Ku Klux Klan to say, for many decades, Howell has had that reputation. You know who rejects this narrative? The people who actually live there. For one, Livingston County Sheriff Michael Murphy, who was hosting Trump, called it 100% bull. In fact, he said that he gets a little bit fired up when people bring that up, because though he acknowledges that they did have the Grand Dragon that lived in Livingston County and somehow as a result of that got labeled with racist, unwelcoming community, which he said truly couldn't be further from the truth. And as for the last month's demonstration, he called a couple of dipshees running around with a megaphone and spewing white supremacy crap. But he said that that's not their community and that they were in fact outsiders. They even asked residents like Luke Babbitt, a 21-year-old student who lives in Howell, asked if he had ever heard of or witnessed racism in the city. Babbitt replied, "Heck no, not at all. Not in the slightest." And the story changes when you ask Republican candidates in Michigan. For one, Republican Senate candidate Mike Rogers, who has appeared alongside Donald Trump at rallies, said that the whole racism insinuation is absolute absurdity. A few racists that gather in town in America shouldn't taint the town. Carolyn Levitt, Donald Trump's national press secretary, called out the media on their very obvious bias. She asked, did the media write the same story when Joe Biden visited Howell in 2021? Or when Kamala Harris visits cities where racist protests and marches have occurred in the past? No. Of course not. In fact, Donald Trump's Michigan spokesperson, Victoria Lacivita, emailed the press a list of cities where Kamala has campaigned that have seen racist incidents in the past, including Eau Claire, Wisconsin, Pittsfield, Massachusetts, Philadelphia, and Atlanta. With it, she said that the press should ask the Harris team why she believes all residents of Howell, Michigan are racist, and if that also applies to the cities where she has visited with their own divisive histories. Again, they're trying to pin the word racist on Donald Trump, but sad for them, it's just not sticking. You know what I mean, guys? In fact, let me ask you guys. Was there ever a point when you felt like Donald Trump was a racist? Or do you feel like this is all just kind of a smear job by the opposing parties? Drop me a quick comment down below. Let's join the conversation. And speaking of, if you haven't already, I highly recommend you guys joining our community. All you need to do is hit the subscribe button, tap that notification bell, and why not hit the like button while you're at it? All right, let's get back into it. So another noteworthy Donald Trump takedown moment was when former President Donald Trump chided that Biden is now unhappy sunbathing on a beach in California, watching the waves and thinking about how much he hates Barack Hussein Obama, crazy Nancy Pelosi, and lightweight movie star George Clooney, who failed to come to Crooked Joe's defense. You see, Biden delivered the main speech on day one of the Democratic National Convention. Then he quickly jetted off to California for a vacation over 2,000 miles away. According to Donald Trump, the push-out Biden plan began on the evening of June 27, 2024. The debate, which Donald Trump believes was heavily pushed and promoted by comrade Kamala Harris. She knew what was going to happen, and so did everyone else. In the DNC, Biden insisted that no one influenced his decision, no one knew it was coming. But Trump claimed Biden is seething at the Democratic darlings who spoke at the convention and accused Vice President Kamala Harris of undercutting her boss. According to Donald Trump on Truth Social, she was amazed at Biden's anger at being humiliated by the Democrats, and he was happy to have played a part in Biden's demise. Then he brought up the fact that Biden got 14 million votes and she got none. That's why Donald Trump thinks that Biden's an angry man now, and he should be. Not that Biden ever did anything impressive for Trump. In fact, according to the former president, since the Afghanistan catastrophe, it's been open season on America and our allies. He compared it to when he was the commander-in-chief, when he was able to stop wars with phone calls, and the entire world was safer when he sat behind that beautiful, resolute desk in the Oval Office. Now, Trump says the world is on fire, and Kamala and Biden have marched us to the brink of World War III. Just some examples: Biden's erratic withdrawal from Afghanistan, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and the devastating October 7th attack on Israel. Compared to when Trump was in office, he talked about how we defeated ISIS. We killed the world's top terrorists. We secured our borders. We achieved energy independence. We stood up to China. We protected Israel. We made peace in the Middle East with the Abraham Accords and more. We did things like nobody ever heard of it. Senator J.D. Vance, Donald Trump's running mate, also spoke at the event saying Trump was the person who prevented nuclear war. Not to mention, he was too strong, even for an assassin's bullet. This is the kind of thing that we should really be talking about, right guys? The issues, things like inflation, the economy, national security. But it's hard when mainstream media is leaning heavily toward one party while trying to muddy the waters for the other one. You know what I mean, guys? Drop me a quick yes in the comments down below. But since we're talking about faults in our candidates, why don't you guys check out my other video where we compiled all the clips of Kamala Harris talking to the public while seeming to be under the influence of alcohol or who the heck knows what. Pretty compelling stuff, you guys. I definitely recommend you guys check that video out right after this one. But as always, thanks so much for watching. Double thanks for lighting up the like button, and I'll see you guys on the next one.